Hi, just as I promised yesterday, I'm taking you to the park, Deer Park in Mount Marion, and to find some lesser celandine. So, amongst the families walking their dogs and their kids, burning off some of that self-isolation energy, we have some really beautiful spring wildflowers coming up. And at the bottom of this beautiful old beech tree, we have nestled in among the roots some of those lovely violets that I was showing you yesterday. And right beside them we have lesser celandine. So you see this beautiful little yellow flower here. Oops. It's a member of the buttercup family, Ranunculaceae, and can be found in woodlands and also in gardens. So usually in spots that are shady or will become shady, because a lot of these spring flowers are making use of the sunlight before the trees get their leaves. It's the same with things like buttercups and wild garlic. No, that's not wild garlic. That's three-cornered leek, I think. Well, we'll follow this one and we'll see what it turns into. Hang on, I'll smell it, then we'll know. Doesn't smell of anything. Okay, we'll observe that as spring continues and see what it turns into. If anyone has any guesses, send them on in, mention them in the comments below. Here we go. Here's some more celandines. And some kind of veronica, I think. That's a speedwell of some sort. These tiny, tiny flowers. So lesser celandine, or Ranunculus ficaria, is also known as pilewort. And that's because traditionally it was used as a remedy for curing piles or hemorrhoids. It's one of the first plants to flower in the spring, and it's edible. So let me show you over here. There's a lot more around these violets. And so the flowers and the leaves shouldn't be eaten in large quantities, but you can eat more of them if they're cooked, I believe. And the roots or the tubers can be eaten if cooked. So the best time to collect them is just after the leaves have fallen, just when they're ripe. And you can either cook them in the ashes of the fire or boil them for 15 minutes. Or so I have been told by the abundant wild food websites that there are. So there's really a lot to forage, a lot of wild food, free food for us to enjoy out there. Always make sure that you collect it from a spot that hasn't been sprayed by weed killer or by dogs. So this is probably not a good spot, this busy park full of dogs. Although the Dunleary Rathdown County Council are letting this half of the park grow wild. You can see even over there there's a tree trunk, dead tree trunk left standing, which will be really, really good habitat for invertebrates. If it turns hollow, maybe even a colony of wild honeybees. Endless possibilities. And down here on these celandine leaves, you can see leaf miners or leaf mines. So the larvae of moths or beetles would have created these. They would have lived inside the leaf and eaten their way through it until it's time to pupate and turn into an adult. Again, I'm not sure which kind, but there's a little project for you to do at home. Research what kind of leaf miners eat celandine leaves. So another website told me that these are called celandines or celandines because Caledonia is Latin for swallow, and these are said to appear when the swallow appears. However, these appear in February and swallows appear in April or so, or thereabouts. So that kind of got me suspicious. So I checked my sources, which we should always do, especially as there's a lot of crazy information going around at the moment, and discovered that the greater celandine, or Caledonium, I've forgotten the second part of the species name, is a plant that appears in April. So I guess this is a classic case of common name confusion, when people get mixed up about which plant is which, or which species is which, because the common names are the same, or in the case of the woodlouse, for example, there are so many different common names that people may not be sure they're talking about the same creature. So that's why we use Latin names, so that we can know that we're talking about exactly the same species, regardless of what the local colloquial name for a plant is, or whether there are different species of the same genus which have similar common names. However, it's appropriate that the name celandine comes from the Latin for swallow, because obviously the swallow is a migratory bird, and we're seeing 2 of our housemates migrate this week, going back to their home countries before the chance to get back maybe disappears as travel restrictions come into place. So this is for you guys, and here is a little swallow.